Last Stand is the new survival game mode, deployed on public test a few hours ago at time of recording. The following are my first impressions and the information I've been able to gather so far. This Last Stand patch brings with it some other changes. There are 9 achievements relating to the new maps, and a new shield decoration can be unlocked in the inn for completing them. The Globadier resistant trinkets were nerfed. The top one now only protects you by 60% instead of 90%. Rats make noise as they spawn, and many exploits were fixed. You can give your friend a healing draft as well, which is quite nice, by right-clicking on them. New difficulties are used in the Last Stand maps. They don't work the same way as standard difficulties. It seems that the rats have the same health on the story difficulty equivalents, but they do less damage in this. So far, only the Town Meeting map is available. The map takes place in one large arena. Town Meeting is based on the plaza section in Horn of Magnus, but with plenty of extra structures and doodads. You blow the horn in the centre of the map to begin the onslaught. As you survive through waves in Last Stand, badges appear in the level. These are then converted into tokens at the end of the mission after you collect them. On the highest difficulty, you are rewarded with orange tokens, but there are different badges with different rewards for each difficulty. Multiple specials spawn at once in Last Stand. I've seen 3 Globadiers come around a corner at once, multiple Gutter Runners or Packmasters, and the Storm Vermin can come in groups of more than 5 in a single wave. Perhaps the most crazy part of this is that you can have 2 tanks at once. Focus on the same tank.
Right, yeah, I'm going for the one the beam steps on. Yeah, I'm going for the one the beam steps on.
There is no friendly fire, even on the highest difficulty. The beam staff can be shot directly through your friends, and you can bomb the floor. This will bring interesting metagame changes for sure. I can imagine Bardins or Krubers taking weapons that will allow them to better protect the mage in the corner while she focuses down the large amount of specials. As you progress through the level, you are rewarded with supply drops and the opening of chests which contain ammo, health, all the things you need to survive longer. These do decrease over time though, until eventually you're no longer receiving these additional supplies. Ammo becomes scarce very quickly, and so conserving it will be a key skill. The Bright Mage is a great class to take in Last Stand for this reason. She doesn't use any ammunition. The Drake fire pistols for Bardin should also be considered better than normal in story mode, since they don't require ammo either. I could even imagine it might later become a tactic to allow one friend to die at a certain time so that they can respawn with more ammo. This new game mode is very different to the story missions, and you will certainly want to prioritize gear differently for it. If you're a high level with loot to spare, consider having 2 sets of gear. Traits on weapons now have very different values. Scavenger I would weight far higher, it's much better in this mode as ammo is so scarce. And the healing traits, they're very good as well. Having Bloodlust or Regrowth on a weapon allows you to survive much longer without needing to waste medpacks. The duplication of medpacks trinket is also much better in this, since the supply is limited. And other trinkets have become more useful, such as the Grenade Radius trinket. Previously in story mode it would do a lot of friendly fire, but since there's none in this, it's actually a straight upgrade instead of a downgrade. The Respawn Faster trinket is now actually viable. In the story missions, the respawning faster didn't help at all, because you spawn so far away from your friends usually, that it's actually the distance that you require to get there that made the difference, rather than the time. Since this is an arena mode with no progression though, spawning quicker is very beneficial. Your friends can get to you and res you immediately. On the other hand, some trinkets are much worse now. For example, the Lichbone Pendant and the Loot Die. The items they interact with just aren't in the level, so they are completely useless, so do make sure to change out your trinkets before you begin. Some negative aspects to the new game mode I've noticed are that the games take a very long time. My first attempt lasted for over an hour. This is partly due to the waiting between waves, which seems a bit excessive to me. It would be more fun in my opinion if there was a bit of risk involved as you ran out to secure the supply drops, and in future I'd prefer to see the breaks cut down a little bit. At the end of my first game, the game just crashed and the entire team received no loot despite playing for over an hour for it. I understand that this is just a public test beta, so I'm not worried about this at all, but this does also happen if the host leaves, which does seem like a likely thing to happen in pugs if you're not queuing with friends, especially if the games can last for over an hour. With no host migration and no way to punish hosts who leave dropping their teammates, I could foresee this being a big waste of time for players later in the future, who get put back into the inn after playing for a decent amount of time without any loot to show for it. But this is the public test version on day one, and I'm sure there's plenty more improvements to come, so I'm not letting this worry me too much at the moment. My first impressions are on the whole initially very positive. This new mode mixes up the usefulness of less used traits and trinkets. Fighting 2 tanks at once is so much fun, holy sigma! Focusing on the efficiency of meds and ammo highlights a new skill set that the story missions sometimes miss, and a new playstyle without friendly fire is something that will interest many people. You also always win something in this mode. If you lost a Horn of Magnus run right at the end after blowing the horn, that's 15 minutes or so down the drain with almost nothing to show for it, but here you keep your progress rewards. The feeling of being trapped in a corner, frantically slashing as an ever-growing horde presses into you, knowing that you've reached the very last of your supplies, is fantastic. The pressure and excitement it invokes reminds me of extremely clutch moments I've had with my team in the past in the story missions, and those have become legendary memories for the team. I can certainly see my friends and I sinking loads of time into this new game mode, and I think Fat Shark have done a fantastic job providing this free content to an already spectacular game. This has been a Rat's Chat's first impression video. We will be back next time with more Vermintide.